You thought love was something for the young, something wild, impulsive, messy, in all the ways youth forgives. But now, in the quiet rhythm of your 60s or 70s, love shows up again. Not loud, not desperate, just present. And you wonder, could I really start over? But here's the truth. This isn't starting over. This is starting differently, with more to protect, more to consider, and far more at stake. Because remarriage after 60 isn't a romance novel. It's a blueprint that touches everything: your finances, your family, your freedom. What looks like a new beginning could quietly rewrite your ending, unless you see the truth before saying, "I do." So before you fall for the idea of companionship, let's uncover the 5 truths most people miss, truths that could save your peace, your legacy, and your happiness. This isn't about fearing love. It's about choosing it wisely. 1. The decision that changes more than your name. A new chapter with new rules. They say love is sweeter the second time. But what if it's also more complicated? Imagine this. You've built a life, endured losses, found your peace, and then someone comes along who makes your heart flutter again. It's beautiful, it's unexpected, and it's terrifying. Because after 60, remarriage isn't about fairy tales. It's about rewriting the terms of your later life. Love doesn't come alone now. It brings paperwork, pensions, past families, grown kids with questions, and fears of losing the independence you fought to earn. It's easy to romanticize companionship in the golden years, but the truth is far more layered. And if you're not prepared, love might not be the only thing that surprises you. In this video, we're going to talk about 5 powerful truths most people ignore before saying "I do" again after 60. And no, this isn't about scaring you away from love. It's about giving you the clarity to choose love wisely. Because love, in your later years, should feel like peace, not panic. It should add to your life, not unravel what you've spent decades building. Too often, we hear from people who rushed into remarriage expecting comfort, only to find themselves battling financial confusion, legal stress, or emotional imbalance they never anticipated. This isn't the same game you played at 25. The rules have changed, and if you want joy, not regret, you need to know them. Stay with me until the very end, because what we're about to discuss might just save you from heartache and open the door to something truly meaningful. 2. When 2 bank accounts collide, the truth about finances. After 60, you don't marry just a person. You marry their credit history, their pension rules, their ex-spouse's benefits, and every financial habit they've built over a lifetime. It sounds harsh, but this is the reality of remarrying after 60. Most people think love will sort everything out, but love doesn't calculate tax penalties or adjust estate plans. That's your job now. Before you sign a marriage certificate, you need to ask yourself, what does this union actually do to your money? For some, it adds security. For others, it opens the floodgates to unexpected losses. If you're receiving Social Security based on a former spouse's work record, remarriage could eliminate that benefit entirely. If your partner has debt, you may find yourself sharing it, legally or emotionally. Even if you both keep separate accounts, the state you live in might treat everything as joint property. And then there's the elephant in the room: inheritance. Your children might expect to receive what you promised them. But unless it's written into a binding estate plan, marriage changes the math. It can mean your new spouse has first rights, even unintentionally. Take Linda, a 69-year-old retiree who remarried after losing her husband. She thought her children would inherit her house until she learned that her new husband, by default, had claim to the property. What followed was a painful legal battle and a permanent fracture in the family. All of this could have been avoided with one conversation and one updated will. Money isn't romantic, but ignorance is far costlier than a prenuptial agreement. Don't be afraid to ask tough questions. What's your partner's debt situation? Who's listed on your life insurance? How will your assets be divided if you pass away? These talks are not a sign of mistrust. They're a sign of maturity. Because love at this stage isn't about blind leaps. It's about walking forward with eyes wide open. You've earned your security. Don't sign it away without knowing what's at stake. 3. It's not just you and him, the family that marries with you. When you remarry after 60, it's never just about two people. It's about children, grandchildren, decades of memories, expectations, fears, loyalties, and yes, sometimes unresolved grief. You might think you're adding love to your life, but your family might see it as subtracting something else. The harsh truth? Even adult children struggle with your remarriage, not because they don't want you happy, but because the dynamics they've known their whole lives suddenly shift. A new partner can feel like an intruder in the family home, even if they're kind, even if they mean well. Your daughter might wonder if family holidays will change. Your son might silently question what will happen to the home he grew up in. And if your late spouse was beloved, your remarriage might stir up feelings of betrayal they never expected to feel. Then there's the financial part, quietly bubbling beneath the surface. Will the new spouse get part of the inheritance? Will grandma's house still be theirs? It's not always about greed. It's about uncertainty. Take Paul and Margot, both in their 70s, who married after being widowed. Margot's daughter, who adored her late father, stopped calling for weeks. Paul's sons expressed concern that Margot was pushing for control of family assets. Neither was true, but without conversations, fear filled the silence, and silence fractures families. Blending families at this age isn't about parenting, it's about diplomacy. You're not raising children anymore. You're managing adult relationships with emotional history and financial concerns. This means talking, even when it's uncomfortable. Set boundaries. Explain your plans. Ask your kids what they worry about. Share your vision for the future. Let them know they still matter. And most importantly, be honest about what is and isn't changing. Your happiness does not require their permission, but it does benefit from their understanding. The best remarriages are built on more than love. They're built on clear communication, mutual respect, and courage to have the hard talks before hard feelings grow. 4. Love may be timeless, but legal systems aren't. It's easy to believe that marriage is mostly about hearts and rings, but the legal system doesn't see it that way. Especially after 60, when every signature can ripple through decades of planning. The truth is, marriage is a binding contract, one with serious legal implications that most people don't think about until it's too late. When you remarry later in life, you're not just merging lives, you're merging legal responsibilities. You may assume your will still holds, that your adult children will inherit what you promised, or that your living trust remains untouched. But many of those assumptions collapse the moment a marriage license is signed. In many states, a spouse is entitled to a certain portion of your estate, no matter what your will says, unless legal steps are taken. This means your carefully outlined legacy could be overturned by default law. Let that sink in. If you become incapacitated, your new spouse, not your children, may have the final say over your medical care, even if you haven't been together long. If you die suddenly, your spouse could become co-owner of everything you've worked for, even if your intent was different. These aren't rare horror stories. They're common realities, and they often blindside well-meaning people who believed love was enough. Take Eleanor, 67, who remarried after years of being widowed. She had 2 children and a modest estate. She thought her will, written years ago, would protect her kids. But after remarrying and not updating her documents, her new husband became the legal heir to her home. Her children were shocked and heartbroken, and Eleanor, who meant no harm, had unintentionally broken their trust. The solution? Planning, not assumptions. If you're thinking about remarrying, you need to sit down with an attorney who understands estate law. Consider creating or updating a will, trust, power of attorney, and medical directive. Think about a prenuptial agreement, not because you expect divorce, but because you value clarity. It's not about doubting your love. It's about protecting everyone you love. Because the law doesn't ask how in love you were. It only asks what was on paper. 5. Redefining happiness. Why love? After 60 must align with who you are now, not who you were then. The idea of remarriage is often wrapped in nostalgia. We imagine romantic walks, shared dinners, someone to hold hands with through the quiet years. And those things are beautiful, if they fit who you are now. But too often, people leap into remarriage thinking it will erase loneliness, fill a void, or recreate a version of love they once knew. And when it doesn't, the disillusionment can be deeper than the loneliness ever was. After 60, happiness looks different. It's not about starting a new life. It's about protecting the life you've already built. It's about preserving peace, autonomy, and purpose. So before you say, "I do" again, ask yourself, what does happiness mean to me now? Are you looking for someone to share daily life with, or someone who joins you only for travel and weekends? Do you want to live together, or maintain separate homes and meet in the middle? Are you hoping for someone to depend on, or to complement your independence? These aren't just preferences, they're non-negotiables. Because at this stage, your routines are set, your values are rooted, and your space, physical and emotional, is sacred. It's not about being rigid, it's about being honest. Take Margot and Dean, both 70. They met at a concert and bonded instantly. She was a homebody, he was a world traveler. She valued mornings in silence, he thrived on morning conversation. They loved each other, but when they moved in together, friction replaced romance. Eventually, they decided to remain committed, but live apart. And the moment they did, their relationship blossomed again. Why? Because they stopped trying to fit their old ideas of marriage into their new lives. Happiness after 60 is about alignment, about making sure your next chapter doesn't rewrite your entire story. If the person you're with encourages your peace, supports your rhythm, and enhances your solitude, not intrudes on it, you've found something rare. But if the relationship constantly challenges your comfort, depletes your energy, or forces you to shrink, that's not happiness. That's sacrifice disguised as companionship. And you've already sacrificed enough. You deserve a love that feels like freedom, not friction. If there's one truth that stands above the rest, it's this. Remarriage after 60 is not about completing yourself. It's about complementing the life you've already created. It's not about filling a void. It's about sharing your fullness with someone who respects your shape, not tries to mold you into theirs. You've lived. You've lost. You've rebuilt. You've created a life of rituals, comforts, scars, and triumphs. And now, if you choose to invite someone into that life, It should only be because they add peace, not problems. Too many people mistake remarriage for a second chance at youth. But it's not. It's a first chance at maturity in love, at finally getting it right, at saying, "This is who I am now. Do you want to walk beside me, not ahead of me, not behind me, but with me?" And if the answer is yes, with open communication, legal clarity, mutual values, and realistic expectations, then go forward. Not with fantasy, but with joy. Not to chase something lost, but to build something new. And if the answer is no, that's okay too. Happiness after 60 doesn't require a spouse. It requires self-trust. Companionship is beautiful, but so is freedom. What matters most is that you don't remarry out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of missing out, fear of judgment, because fear makes poor decisions, and you've outgrown decisions that cost your peace. You get to define love on your terms now. Maybe that means remarriage. Maybe that means friendship with boundaries. Maybe that means dating without pressure, or living apart together. Maybe it means writing poetry alone in your garden. Whatever it looks like, it should make you feel more like yourself, not less. That's the sign you've chosen wisely. That's the sign you've outgrown society's expectations. That's the sign you've made peace with the past and stepped into your most authentic future.